Hey everyone, and welcome to the presentation. And today we're going to be talking about some of the key considerations for bringing in FlyRoute to provide a drone film service to your football program. So the presentation, I really believe, will be very educational, even if you choose not to work together for budgeting reasons or otherwise. That I think there's going to be a lot of content in here that you'll be able to take away and learn about as far as the drone film side of things goes. Also find that you really will find immense value in the proposition, considering the 40 plus teams that we currently work with in Colorado. Really do find immense value in the film that we provide, and it's really been a pivotal tool for their teams. So excited to get into the topics, and I'll be respectful of your time and just hit the most important high-level points here. So let's get into our slides. And just want to highlight who we are a little bit. So my name is Colin Caffrey, founder and president of FlyRoute. Key responsibilities include like sales, customer service, training. So I would be interfacing with your team primarily to get you set up and get the ball rolling with all of this. And I'm an FAA rated drone pilot, have 11 years of private aviation experience, and have an aviation management degree from MSU Denver. So my partner, Michael Bachkowski, partner and VP of Ops, couldn't join us today, but he is responsible for operations management and scheduling. So you might hear from him on getting games scheduled, things like that. If we need to modify any dates, times, locations, he's the guy. So also an FAA rated drone pilot and private pilot. And he is certified football official, high school level official. So if you need anybody to yell at, he's used to that stuff. So he's your guy there. And retired U.S. Army of 21 years. So thank Michael for your service. So topics that we're going to cover today: why drones? You may be familiar with what the drone perspective looks like, but just want to cover all bases and why it's a superior angle. And also how to run a drone program yourself. So if you were to take all this and do it yourself, what are the considerations there? And then how do we bridge the gap? So next we'll talk about our mission as a company and how we provide those services for your team. Next, we'll touch on a little bit about the company, about FlyRoute. And then from there, we'll talk more specifically about the services that we provide to your team. And we'll touch on what coaches say about us. We'll touch on pricing and then next steps. And then we'll have a frequently asked questions at the end there. So why drones? If you look at the traditional camera perspective from an end zone tower for your end zone film, you'll see that you're really kind of looking on the left-hand side, you're looking at the players' backs. So with a drone perspective, you're really going to get a lot more of that depth, and you're going to get those critical first moves with the snap of the ball. And the truth is there's really no perspective that even comes close to the aerial view. And with our teams are quickly making drone film the new standard. So at the end of the day, it's really just left up to your team whether you choose to be the visionary and use some of the technology to outpace the competition or not. So and really one of the famous quotes is because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. So this superior film will really get you that angle that you need to enhance your coaching and critique. So kind of expanding on that just a step further on the drone angle, the drone perspective is a lot like what you get for an NFL cable cam, but it's even more versatile than that because you can get a high and wide view with all 22 players and get the receiver routes in view. Or you can choose, if you would prefer to have the tight view with the box only, so you're just getting the O&D line, then that is an option as well. So very, very versatile. So if you were to take this on yourself and run a drone program, these are the considerations that you'd have to take into account here. So kind of just want to start with a quick story. We went to AFCA coaching conference in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina this last year. Coach came up to us and said, "Hey, love the drone perspective. It's far superior to anything else we've ever used. And we do this ourselves, actually." And I said, "Oh, really interesting. Like, do you use a student or a coach to film? How's that been going for you?" And he said that historically they've used a coach who had a personal drone that flew at their practices and some games. And then that coach, unfortunately, had to leave the program. So the team bought a $2,000 drone and they found a student to fly it for them. And the very first practice that they brought the student and the drone out, he flew full speed ahead into the uprights and just destroyed the drone. So, those types of things can happen. That's probably on the worst side of it. But what coach said in that conversation is that, boy, like, you guys do all this for us. Would love to offload the burden of sourcing a film person, training, providing equipment, insurance, the FAA legality concerns, taking that into consideration and more. So really at the end of the day, I've witnessed some teams that can do this as a mediocre job for running drone film for practices, but it's really tough to have long-term success doing this with games at higher risk operations, primarily because schools tend to have a lot more red tape as far as checking off that you have your insurance in place, risk mitigations, and your proper licensing. So that's kind of where we take all that off the shoulders of the team. So they want to see a professional company and not see amateurs out there at these games. So just kind of looking at the list here of the things that you would have to do or consider for a drone film operation. You have to source a licensed FAA drone pilot. It is legally required that you have your drone pilot's license. This is a commercial use of a drone. So even if you're not getting paid to do it, it's still a commercial application. That's what the FAA requires. You have to purchase and upkeep the equipment. So costs, at the time of this recording, costs are actually closer to about $4,000 for what you would need to purchase for an in-game drone. Some practice drones you can get a little closer to like $1,500 with all the batteries you need. You'd have to train somebody about the films with the film standards that you would need. You'd have to train them how to integrate with your sideline replay system, how to upload film to Huddle properly, and then film quality control. So making sure that the film is up to your standards and giving constant feedback is something you'd have to do. You'd also have to make sure that all the FAA airspace waivers are applied for, utilized, and that there's no laws being broken with breaking airspace. And then also have to communicate with host schools to request permission to fly the drone. And you'd have to provide some liability insurance. A lot of them want to see that. That's a consideration. And then at the end of the day, end of the season, if that person ever leaves the team, you'd have to start all over again and start from scratch. So really at the end of this, you want to see that coaching is what you're primarily doing and worried about, and that you can leave the film considerations to us. So moving on to how we kind of bridge the gap from the service side, it's FlyRoute's mission to help visionary football team or football programs win more by utilizing drone technology. So end of the day, that's what we do. We provide a dedicated one-on-one pilot to your team that follows you for all home and away games. If you need JV practices, we can add that on. And we really want to work with teams that are visionaries, early adopters, and are setting aside a budget to invest in high quality film that will really set your team apart from the competition. So it really just wouldn't be in our best interest to work with teams that aren't utilizing film to their full potential, maybe aren't utilizing sideline replay systems, or just really don't use it as a key instrument. It won't be worth your money. It won't be worth our time. At the end of the day, we're trying to create a raving fan out of you and your program. So if you're not utilizing the film to its full potential, it would be in our best interest to not work together. Little bit more about FlyRoute and our history. So we are Denver-based, founded in 2017, and was started by me with just one team and Regis Jesuit High School. Started with them just filming practices, and that same year, the Sports Association, CHASA, allowed for in-game drone usage. So started filming in-game with the drone for them, and when uploading the film to Huddle, and they had done some inter-exchanges with other teams, other coaches were saying, hey, this is the best film I've ever seen. How do I get my hands on this? So we really grew organically just by word of mouth. And to date, we've scaled things up to now we have, at the time of this recording, 29 FAA-rated drone pilot contractors that are all trained and vetted by us. And then to date, we've flown 1,300 athletic events for 70 plus teams. And with all of that, we really take safety very seriously, and we're really proud that we are accident and incident free to date. So knock on wood, we'll keep that going, and really proud of that. So we also are fully FAA certified and compliant. So that's a big consideration with all this. All right, so what do we actually provide? So if you can kind of remember the previous slide where these are all the things you'd have to do, this is what we would do for you. So we provide the dedicated drone pilot who's FAA rated. We provide the equipment. We integrate with your sideline replay system. So we are compatible with Huddle Sideline, Sky Coach, SportScope, GameStrat, whatever you use, we can integrate with. So we do ask that you still have a sideline replay manager. There's a lot of variables. So at this time, we don't manage any of that equipment, but we can troubleshoot some of that and work with your sideline replay manager to troubleshoot. We also upload film to Huddle. You'll add us to your account, and within 1 hour after the game, we will initiate the upload to your team. So we know how important it is for you to get film in a timely manner so you can start your critiques as soon as possible. Highest safety standards and FAA compliance, touched on a lot of that already. Peace of mind, we're insured up to $2 million, and hassle-free satisfaction guarantee. So if our film is ever not to our standards, our high-quality standards, then we will waive the game fee for you. So want to ensure that we have that high quality, and we want to give you peace of mind that that's what our standard is. So here's just a little picture of, this is a state championship here of the teams utilizing drone film on the sidelines. And they've really gotten a lot of value out of that on the sidelines. So touched on some of these numbers here as far as the 1,300 events flown, but just wanted to touch on the in Colorado, we're noticing just an incremental growth year over year of the amount of teams. This is quickly becoming the new standard for film. And currently 91% of Colorado's postseason teams use FlyRoute drone film services. So really noticing that it's continuing to grow and just quickly becoming that standard. What coaches say, won't go into full detail about all this, but this is posted on our website if you have interest in seeing it. We really haven't seen any attrition from teams at all. So once they see the drone film, they're not wanting to get rid of it the next year. So that's been kind of a true indicator of how valuable this film is. But I will just highlight a quote from Coach McGatlin, the year that they won the state championship. Coach McGatlin says, "Drone film has been an absolute game changer. Our coaches believe that we have a huge in-game advantage. We will continue to use FlyRoute for many years to come." So Coach McGatlin moved on to another team, and he kept us with them. We're currently filming their practices and games, and they're still seeing immense value out of using the drone film. So moving on to pricing here. At the time of this recording, pricing can fluctuate year over year. So this is our 2023 pricing sheet. If you need an updated pricing sheet, feel free to contact sales@flyroute.com. But just high level here, just want to kind of break down how the pricing works. So you can either set up an individual team agreement, which is located at the top of this, or a multi-team district agreement. So multi-teams, the more teams that go in, the cheaper it gets. We invoice out a equipment and service cost at least 60 days prior to the season, sometimes more. And then there's a per game cost of $250. So kind of combining those two things, what we tell teams to budget for year over year. The first year, budget for at least $6,500. Second year, budget for $4,500. The equipment cost goes down considerably year 2 and beyond. And that's for a 10-game regular season, and that's for a pre-season scrimmage. If you have additional games, like more scrimmages, more practices, JV or postseason games, then those are just added on at the daily rate of $250. If you add 20 or more days or 30 or more days, there's even more discounts available. So those are located at the bottom here. And we cut the price down by about 20 to 30% on the daily cost if you add JV, season, or at least one practice a week. We also have a discount if you refer a team to us. So we'll waive the game cost, game fee, if you refer a team that signs up with us. And that's $250 each. So there's really, and we have a three limit of 3 per season. So there's a $750 saving opportunity there for referring other programs to us. Last thing I just want to touch on, if there's an away game that we travel to, we use the IRS rates for travel to apply that to the game cost. And just want to close out pricing by saying, that we understand that this isn't the most inexpensive investment, but that's really it. Want to look at this more from, this is a investment in the quality of your film for your team. We try to get as competitive as we can on the pricing just to cover the cost of our time and labor for training and management and equipment acquisition and all of that. So we really believe the pricing is very fair. But looking at this from an investment, really we just want this to be looked at from a perspective of this will dramatically change the coaching dynamic for the better, and it's well worth the investment. That's the feedback that we've gotten from all the teams that we work with, is that they say that the cost is very fair, and it really enhances their team's film quality. And the last thing too is that another thing with us being a professional company is if pilot calls out sick, we'll have a backup pilot available for you. So you're not just hiring one person, you're hiring a team of individuals, management and backup pilots, and you've got our full team support instead of just one person to do the filming for you. So next steps, the next step is going to be filling out, it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes, our application for drone film. There's a Google link. It should be either linked under this video, or if you don't have access to it for any reason, feel free to contact sales@flyroute.com. And this is just going to get us the information we need. What sideline replay system you use? Do you have an end zone tower? Accounts payable info, pretty quick for an application. And then we'll take that information, discuss it internally about fitting the needs of your team, and if we can accommodate that for this upcoming year. And if we can, we'll reach out. Some of the dates, depending on when you're watching this, might be off on the slide, but we'll contact your team to initiate acceptance. And then from there, we'll issue an invoice out. And the invoice, if some teams can only pay during certain calendar months, at a minimum, we at least need to have a PO put together so that we can start to initiate equipment procurement and posting for the jobs in hiring. So we need to do that as soon as possible, at least 60 days out prior to season start, and sometimes earlier than that as well. So we need a little bit of a runway to post positions, interview, do a pilot practical exam out in the field, purchase equipment, prep it, issue. There's a runway of things that have to get done before the season. So time is of the essence there. Some frequently asked questions just wanted to highlight real quick. So will my team miss plays during a drone battery change? The answer is we've really gotten this dialed down to a science. So we're looking, the batteries are good for 25 minutes, and we're looking for opportunities to change the battery end of quarter, after a scoring play, if there's a timeout call. We train and teach, or we train and test on doing a 1 minute rapid battery change. So after an extra point attempt, we're landing the drone, swapping batteries, and we're up again in under a minute. So most commonly, we never miss any plays during a game. If there's like a long fourth quarter drive where there's no opportunities really that are great for, and we're running low on battery, no opportunities for a change, we might look for maybe a special teams play to do a battery change, but we really prioritize the offensive and defensive plays so we don't miss any of those. Another question, can FlyRoute manage our current sideline replay system or film from the press box? And the answer is not at this time. There's too many variables with sideline replay systems as far as management, storing, transporting, and troubleshooting if there's any problems. So we don't manage the systems, and we really just focus solely on providing the drone film service. Our pilots know how to troubleshoot the sideline replay system, so they can work with your replay manager to fix problems if there's any in game. But currently it's just the drone film service. Another common question is what happens if there's inclement weather, or if the hosting school, if you have an away game, what if they deny the use of the drone? So we designed a drone to tower weather cover. So we asked teams to bring their end zone tripod tower to every game. If your team doesn't have one, we can recommend where to get one. Or if it's not in the budget, we have a small one that we bring with us. But we ask that teams bring their tower to every home and away game, and then we will mount our drone equipment to this tower. So it'll be fixed from a fixed position. Currently, drones are not waterproof, so we can't fly in any rain or snow. So if it is raining, we will need to put the drone in the cover, and then that way you're not left empty without any end zone film. So regardless, rain or shine, we'll be there, and you'll have film with our drone to tower weather cover. So those are the commonly asked questions. If you have any further questions, here's our contact information, and feel free to reach out to us. You can also find our info on our website at FlyRoute.com, and really hope that you found this presentation to be useful and valuable. Hope to work with your team in the near future, and good luck this season. Thanks so much.